If you are watching this, it means something in your relationship has been quietly bothering you, not because you have proof, but because your instincts keep telling you something has changed. Most men are taught to ignore this feeling and wait for evidence. That advice costs men years of confusion and self-doubt. I am Coach Janet, a dating coach for men, and I work with men who discover the truth long after the signs were already there. In this video, I will show you how women's psychology reveals cheating signs through behavior before words ever change. Stay with me and you will learn how to see clearly instead of guessing. Before we begin, quickly subscribe to this channel. Cheating sign 1. A noticeable shift in sexual interest and intimacy. One of the earliest signals that a woman may be physically involved with another man appears in her sexual behavior. This is often misunderstood because many men only look for one outcome. They expect distance, rejection, or complete withdrawal. While that can happen, it is not the only expression of change. In women's psychology, sexual behavior is closely linked to emotional state. When a woman's emotional focus shifts, her sexual responses tend to shift as well. This change can occur in two opposite ways, both of which are important to recognize. For some women, physical cheating creates guilt. That guilt shows up as emotional withdrawal. She may become less receptive to touch and less engaged during intimate moments. What once felt natural can begin to feel mechanical or distant. She may offer reasons that seem reasonable on the surface, such as stress, fatigue, or feeling overwhelmed. Over time, intimacy starts to feel like something she tolerates rather than something she shares. For other women, the same guilt produces the opposite behavior. Instead of pulling away, she becomes more sexually expressive. You may notice an increase in desire, experimentation, or enthusiasm that does not align with the emotional connection between you. This is where many men become confused because they assume increased intimacy means increased loyalty. As a dating coach for men, I want you to look beyond frequency and focus on alignment. Ask yourself whether her sexual energy matches the emotional closeness between you. When sexual behavior feels disconnected from emotional presence, it often serves a psychological purpose rather than a relational one. I once worked with a man who described his wife's intimacy as unpredictable. Some weeks she seemed distant and uninterested. Other weeks she initiated more often and introduced behaviors she had never shown interest in before. At first, he believed this was simply a natural fluctuation. Over time, however, the inconsistency became emotionally confusing. The emotional bond between them was weakening, yet her physical behavior did not reflect that reality. When the truth eventually surfaced, he realized something important. Her body had been communicating a shift long before she ever admitted it. The physical changes were not random, they were responses to emotional involvement happening elsewhere. This is a key point in female behavior decoded. A woman's body often reacts before her words change. When intimacy becomes inconsistent, confusing, or emotionally hollow, it is worth paying attention. This does not mean you accuse her or confront her based on a single moment. It means you observe patterns over time. Cheating signs rarely appear as dramatic events. They show up as repeated shifts that do not match the relationship dynamic. When sex begins to feel like a distraction, a duty, or a way to manage guilt rather than a way to connect, something underneath has changed. If this explanation is already helping you make sense of what you've been experiencing, take a moment to like this video. It helps other men who are quietly searching for clarity find guidance instead of staying lost. Stay with me because the next sign is more subtle and often dismissed as harmless. Yet when you understand why women cheat, this signal becomes very difficult to ignore. Cheating sign 2. Sudden changes in grooming, appearance, and self-presentation. This second sign is one many men overlook because it often appears harmless on the surface. A change in grooming or appearance is easy to justify, especially when a woman says she is simply trying to feel better about herself. While personal growth and self-care are normal, women's psychology teaches us that timing and motivation matter just as much as effort. A woman rarely changes how she presents herself without an internal reason. When something shifts emotionally, it often shows externally first. This is why appearance can become a quiet indicator when combined with other cheating signs. You may notice she suddenly places more emphasis on how she smells. Even for quick outings or casual errands, she might take more time with her makeup or begin dressing in ways that feel noticeably different from her past habits. Clothing choices may become more fitted, more revealing, or more carefully coordinated. These changes are not about the clothes themselves, but about the intention behind them. In Female Behavior Decoded, appearance is a form of communication. When a woman feels desired by someone new, her awareness of her body increases. She becomes more intentional because she knows she is being seen through a romantic or sexual lens. That awareness naturally spills into her daily routines. One client shared that his partner began waking up earlier than usual to get ready, even on days she claimed she had no significant plans. At first, he assumed she was simply becoming more confident. Over time, however, the effort seemed disproportionate to the situation. The truth later revealed that her preparation was not for self-confidence, but for someone else's attention. It is important to be clear here. This sign alone does not mean a woman is cheating. Women change styles, explore confidence, and evolve. However, when a grooming shift appears suddenly and without context, it deserves observation rather than dismissal. Ask yourself whether this change aligns with her lifestyle, responsibilities, or goals. If it does not, the shift may be emotionally motivated. Another detail men often overlook is secrecy around these changes. She may stop asking for your opinion or avoid discussing new purchases. Items such as lingerie, perfume, or hairstyles appear without explanation. The silence around these changes is often more telling than the change itself. When a woman is physically involved with another man, she becomes more self-conscious in a specific way. It is not just about looking good, it's about preparing herself to be desired. This psychological shift often occurs even before the relationship becomes fully physical, because anticipation alone can drive behavioral change. As relationship advice for men, I always emphasize patterns. One change may mean nothing. Multiple changes appearing alongside emotional distance, sexual inconsistency, or unexplained absences form a clearer picture. Cheating signs rarely stand alone, they build gradually and quietly. If this part of the video is confirming instincts you have been questioning, take a moment to like the video. It helps men who are experiencing similar confusion find dating advice for men that speaks honestly rather than emotionally. Drop the word clear in the comments if this explanation is helping you make sense of her behavior. Sometimes acknowledging clarity is the first step toward regaining emotional balance. Stay with me because the third sign connects directly to energy, time, and emotional investment. It is often the moment when everything finally clicks. Cheating sign 3. Unexplained fatigue, absences, and emotional energy shifts. This third sign is often the most revealing because it involves something the body struggles to hide for long. When a woman is emotionally or physically involved with another man, her energy and time begin to stretch in unnatural ways. Over time, this strain shows up through fatigue, inconsistencies, and emotional shifts that do not align with her daily responsibilities. You may begin to notice that she seems unusually tired at moments that do not make sense. Tasks that never drained her before now leave her exhausted. She may fall asleep earlier, disengage from conversation, or show little interest in intimacy, even when her day does not justify that level of fatigue. This type of tiredness often has less to do with physical labor and more to do with emotional effort. At the same time, you might observe the opposite pattern. She suddenly has bursts of energy when she is preparing to go out, yet appears depleted when she returns home. In women's psychology, emotional excitement fuels energy, while emotional concealment drains it. When someone is managing secrets, their nervous system carries the weight of that deception. Unexplained absences often accompany these energy shifts. She may start leaving the house more frequently without clear explanations. When you ask where she has been, the answers feel vague or rehearsed. Details are missing, or the story changes slightly over time. This does not mean every absence is suspicious, but consistency matters in female behavior decoded. One man I worked with noticed that his wife often returned from short errands with a noticeably different emotional tone. Some days she was distant and quiet, other days she appeared unusually uplifted. He could not logically explain the change, but his instincts continued to alert him. Eventually, he learned that her emotional investment was divided, and those energy shifts reflected where her attention had been. This is why I teach men to observe patterns rather than interrogate explanations. Excuses can be constructed, patterns form naturally. When tiredness appears at odd times, absences increase without clarity, and emotional presence becomes inconsistent, something underneath has shifted. Understanding why women cheat requires looking beyond words. Behavior communicates truth more consistently than language. When a woman is maintaining emotional or physical involvement elsewhere, her routines often become unpredictable. Time management changes, availability changes, emotional presence fluctuates. As relationship advice for men, I want you to understand that noticing these signs is not about control or accusation. It is about self-awareness and emotional protection. Ignoring repeated inconsistencies often leads to deeper confusion and self-doubt later. Let me speak to you directly as a dating coach for men. If you have recognized yourself in this video, you are not imagining things. Many men sense a cheating wife long before they ever see evidence, but they ignore their intuition out of fear or denial. If this video gave you clarity, subscribe and share it with another man who may be struggling silently. I also invite you to drop your personal story in the comments. Your experience could help someone else find understanding and strength. I am Coach Janet, and I will see you in the next video.